Hi guys. Today's topic, as you know, is the do's and don'ts of studying abroad. Um, I'm going to start because a lot of we have hundreds and hundreds of people watching these videos afterwards, and I don't want to wait for people to join at the beginning because, like I say, a lot of people watch this afterwards, so we better get started now. Um, so when we do this, we're going to do the do's and don'ts, and we'll give you some live updates at the end from universities regarding what is happening, any updates that we have, and any other country updates or immigration sort of updates as to what is going on. So starting with the do's and don'ts of studying abroad, right? So what we want to do is go through some things that you want to do, you want to look out for during your process. I will make these short now because the rest of these talks have been going on for hours. And last week we did a 40-minute one, which had a much better response. So today we will keep it confined to about 25 minutes to half an hour. Anyway, so number one in the do's list. So we'll start with the do's. Number one is make a brilliant application, make an extraordinary application. So how do we do that? We've been through this, but for all the new people that are joining us, it is going to be to make sure that you have a very good SOP done and good LORs, as well as good certificates, anything to back you up. So within LORs, you can have NGO certificates, you can have teacher certificates, maybe a tutor certificate, something which gives you a reference that says that you've done this and backs you up. It's not always the easiest thing to do because it must be well written. If it's not going to be well written, it can work to your disadvantage, right? So we want to make sure that whatever the LOR is, it is very well written. As far as SOPs are concerned, what you want to do is make sure they're university specific and course specific. So if you have a variety of different courses that you want to study, or you have some ambiguity or some broadness in your degree of study or your field of study, what you want to make sure is that your SOPs reflect that. Whatever the course content of the course that you're choosing at the university, you want to make sure your SOP reflects that. And that means that if the course in one university is, for example, and French versus, I don't know, shall we say business management and marketing, you want to make sure that that is within your written in your SOP, and it not just mentioned briefly, but mentioned to the extent of what your future career depends on that course for. So if it is French, then you want to say, right, okay, well, I want to work for this French company or that, and I want to have some experience in French first. Or you might say, oh, I want to do aerospace engineering with French. Why? Because I want to work for a company called Dassault. Or you want to make sure that whatever the courses that you're studying at that university, your SOP reflects that in terms of what you want to do in your future with your career. Now, the other do, I'm reading this off my notes because I can't share a PPT with you, as you guys know, on Facebook. But when you guys are enrolled, we do have closed sessions on Zoom, and there we can show you a PPT, and it's a much more interactive session than it is here. So in terms of your, right, what you want to do next is have your career mapped out. So your career path mapped out for the next 5 years. So what that means is that you want to have your vision ready. Do you want to stay abroad in the country that you'll be at? Do you want to come back to India? What is it after your studies that you want to do, including your years of studies, particularly if you're in masters, and any stay back? So let's say you're doing it in the UK or Ireland, for example, and you have a 1-year master's program with a 2-year stay back post study. Then what you really want to do is have your 5-year plan mapped out. So what you're going to be doing, your year of study, your 2 years afterwards, plus 2 years after that. Good morning. So you want to you want to have that ready, because that will make a difference in terms of what country you want to apply to, as well as how you want to what course you want to choose as well. Some people say, right, I want to go to XYZ university. What about the course? Is the course something you want to do? Is it related to the job you want to have afterwards, or is it not? Is it Hi, Sanjana, I'll come to your question in a minute. Or is it not? Because you don't want to choose the wrong university or you don't want to choose the wrong course based on choosing a university for the sake of it. So you don't want to say, right, I want to go to this university, but I don't care about the course, because at the end of the day, it's the course which will matter to your future employment, and the prospects that you will have, not only in the country that you're going to, but afterwards, if you're going back to India, or if you decide you want to go to a second country like Canada for PR or whatever it might be. So that's quite important in terms of your considerations. So following on from that, what I normally advise is to back calculate your sort of plan and your course options, your university application list. So what you want to do is you want to have you want to go from the country. So once you know what your career path is, or you've mapped that out, or you've discussed it with someone, you want to make sure that you have your country ready based on that, because that will be the first consideration, and then your course, and then lastly the university. So that's the way I think it's best to do it. Now, hedge your application options. So people say that, or they suggest that maybe hedging is a normal practice, but the kind of way that you hedge is very different. So as you may have heard of in commerce, there's things like hedge funds. So what do hedge funds do? They apply in particular fields, and they don't apply, or they invest in one side of the market, but they also equally invest in the other side of the market to protect you from to protect their investor from falls or unpredictability in the market. So what do? We make sure that we have your ambitious options, your dream options, and your safe options. But how you distribute the eggs in between the baskets, so to speak, is really dependent on how interactive your sessions are, or your counseling is with your mentor, and so on. So hedging that is very important, and the manner in which it's hedged is also very important. Now, I would say also one thing which is not readily available in the market, which I think is a 100%, is to speak to someone within that country. So at Admissify, we put you in touch with either counselors based abroad, or students who are scholarship winners, who are based abroad. So that be Canada, Australia, the UK, Ireland, etc. And we'll get you in touch with those students, and you can speak to them. What is the situation on the ground? How are they finding it? How is the food? How are the people? How's the university? Are they very sociable? Are they not sociable? What exactly has their experience been? What is their experience? So in that respect, you want to have some advice, but from the horse's mouth, as we say in English, which is from someone who's there, someone who's been there, done that, got the t-shirt, or been there doing it and getting the t-shirt. So you want to have that advice available to you. It's quite important. At the same time, it will help you confirm your decision, or it will help you ask some more questions, which will then further inform any decision that you make going forward. So we'll facilitate you with that. If you want to ask us how to do that afterwards, your counselor will put you in touch with a student that's already abroad, who's been abroad already, who's back, or somebody who's abroad currently, or indeed a counselor from one of our offices abroad. So now, working on your CVs to get some part-time work or internships. So people don't realize, or people maybe sometimes enjoy themselves too much while they're studying during their masters, or they don't make the efforts in the correct direction in order to get those internships or that part-time work. Now that already, thank you very much, Ankur. So that very much assists you in your in getting post-study work. So if you have any, so if you get an internship or you do some part-time work experience, when you go to get your job, sorry, after you graduate, that will then work towards filling up your CV and showing that you have some onshore work experience. Now, that really does matter, because what you don't want to do is have no experience or have an empty CV when you go once you've graduated. You want to show that, yes, you've made an effort, you've have some experience working in within the English, Irish, Australian, Canadian work system, albeit only part-time. It would be unskilled work that you're doing before, but then skilled work that you're doing afterwards. And that's quite important, because it shows that you're immersed in that culture, or shows that you're proficient with working in within the team, or working within a team, or a management style which is indigenous, or which is indigenous to that country. So I would say that's quite important. Obviously, in within the UK, Germany, and Canada, the Admissify will help you with doing your CVs, preparing your CVs to a standard which is acceptable here, and then of course help you in terms of getting your internships and getting your placements. So at the moment, there's a guaranteed internship offer that we have for the UK. So if you're coming to the UK, then you'll be guaranteed at least an internship, if not a placement afterwards. But we do get both of them, but we guarantee at least one of them. So anyway, now in addition to that, one thing that a lot of people don't do is visit their careers office at their university. So every university has a careers office. You should go to that careers office, because they will point you in some directions, and there may be some doors open within that careers office which you'll become aware of. In addition to that, there are some recruitment agencies or portals, but again, your CV needs to be of a very good standard if you want to be recruited from there. So we'll make sure that they are, because typically every CV is different. The standards of the way CVs are written, the pros, the way in which they're written are very different and differ per country. So obviously your CVs will be prepared in a style which is appropriate to the Indian market, but may not be appropriate elsewhere. So maybe something written in a UK prose may be less suitable than something maybe written in an Australian or Canadian prose. Even though that difference will be slight and not as much as what it is from typically the CVs that we've seen coming out of India. But regardless, it's better to have them fine-tuned to where you'll be applying for your job. Now, again, one of the other do's that you want to note down is getting involved with your union. So your student union at your university will have lots of societies, they will have lots of advice, they will have lots of engaging members of the student society and community. So what you want to do is get involved, because you'll make lots of friends, you'll increase your network, and then if you increase your network, you will of course in turn increase your opportunities. And that is something that we strongly recommend. A lot of people get, maybe they make a few Indian friends and then they get quite tight in within those friends and they don't want to explore beyond that. So we encourage you not to be like that, to throw yourself into the union, into societies, into the deep end, so to speak, so that you can make lots of friends and increase your network. Okay, so that is really, I want to conclude with that as far as the do's are concerned. I want to move on to the don'ts and what not to do, because it's important to bear in mind what you should do, but it's also equally important to bear in mind what you shouldn't do. So let's move on to that slightly more cautious part of the this session. So number one, don't apply with the same application everywhere. That's a big mistake that everybody makes, or that lots of people make in India, unless they have a good consultancy or a good counselor behind them. If your SOP, if you think, right, I've done one SOP, I've got one cover letter, and you think, right, I can give that to all the universities, you shouldn't. Every SOP should be specific to that university. Everything should be specific. An admissions tutor that reads your supporting documents will not be impressed if you're talking about a course which is slightly different to the course you've applied for at that university, or you're talking about a city which is slightly different to the city that you've applied for at that university. Or indeed, if you make a generic SOP that you can apply to have one SOP for multiple universities, then you will not have covered the things that you should have covered, and therefore your SOP won't be of a highly specific or good standard. So again, when we go through the SOPs and the way that they should be written, you will realize that they do need to be university specific. And they need to be specific to the courses. They need to be specific to the city. They need to be specific to that university. And of course, country goes without saying. But a lot more than that, maybe their department, maybe a bit of history from that university. So yeah, SOPs need to be specific. Don't use the same one. A lot of people use the same one. A lot of consultancies in India will say, yes, here's the SOP. You've got your SOP, right? We'll use this and we'll apply to every university with it. You stand absolutely zero chance of a scholarship if you do that, and probably not even get into your ambitious or your dream universities. So please, that's very, very important. Bear that in mind. It's a big mistake, and a mistake we see all the time. You would be surprised how much we see it. Anyway, right. Number two, one of the don'ts is choosing a university without going through the course content. So every course is unique to the university. Every course content, so the modules and within that course, are specific to that university and that title of course as well. So you want to make sure that you go through the course content. You make sure you want to go through the courses that the modules and within that course that you have an option to choose. So if you choose, I don't know, an LLM, let's say for an example, in commercial law, I'm just taking my own example here. I had lots and lots of modules that I could choose from, right? But I wanted to make sure that I chose the right course, that I could choose the modules that I wanted to, so I could leave with the skills that I wanted to leave with. And so that's very important. A lot of people say, right, this is the name of the course and it's at this university and I don't want to know anything else. No, you want to know more. You want to know, right, I can choose these modules in this course, but in that course at that university, I only have a smaller selection of modules that I can choose from. So it will become more customizable. And you may end up studying a lot more modules that you would like to study at a particular university versus another university. So that again is important. Now, one thing to be careful of is using study abroad consultants that send a large amount of students to one particular university. There are some study abroad consultants, I won't name names, it would be unprofessional to do that. So I won't name the names, but they're quite, one of them is quite famous for sending a lot of students to a particular university. So they have 2 or 3 universities in a particular country and they send a lot of students to those places. So what you don't want to do is particularly get involved with those places. Why? Because their counselors aren't experienced. They are following a script sheet that involves converting you to a university where they are paid a commission. We are different at Admissify. We have 3,000 universities that we work with, and you can choose whatever university you want to go to. It doesn't matter to us. We just basically help you make sure that your application is on point. Why? Because we specialize in scholarships. The other thing that we want to do is help you get placed after you've completed your studies and during your studies, and that we do from our international offices. So our modus operandi is a bit different. What we focus on is a little bit different. So anyway, like I say, download the app, have a look, do your research. There's 3,000 universities on there, 100,000 courses. Study away and then ask your qualified questions rather than unqualified questions. So those are some of the don'ts. I'm going to answer a couple of these questions, one from Sanjana, one from Sonia, and then we'll conclude the session. I don't want to go on for too long because a lot of people, like I said, do watch these afterwards and we don't want to make it very boring. This is every week now, so there'll be small amounts, but at least they'll be easy to digest. Now, is it worth going to the university in the UK for computer science? I would say, of course. I would say another option would be Ireland, but yes, the UK and Ireland are very good options for computer science. Why do I mention Ireland alongside the UK? Ireland is home of the offices of Amazon, Google, and some very, very large IT companies, other large IT companies based in Dublin. You have a 1 year master's, so you can be done with 1 year of tuition fees, 1 year of living expenses, 1 year of accommodation expenses, and then you have a 2 year post-study work permit. And it's the same for the UK. So the UK has a massive banking sector, one of the largest banking sectors in the world. In fact, the biggest after the US. And it's much more condensed though than the US. So a lot of banking and fintech companies, so financial technology companies, are based in the UK. So there's a massive scope for IT, more banking-based IT, but a lot of IT as well. So the other thing that the UK specializes in is computer game development. So software development, but more for computer games. So yes, it's very high paid in Ireland and in the UK, and there's a shortage. So you're going to get your 2 year post-study work permit, plus afterwards, you'll probably be able to work for a company that will sponsor, because a lot of IT companies have visa sponsorship licenses, so they can sponsor you to stay after your 2 years as well. So is it worth going to the UK for computer science? 100% is the answer to that question. Not only do you have 2 years to make back all your money and much more than you've invested in within your studies, but you probably have a very good chance to stay back for longer. And if you stay back beyond 4 years, then you can apply for permanent right to remain. And then beyond that, you can apply for citizenship as well. So, yeah, I would say it's a very good option. Sonia, how hard is it to find a job after getting an MS in the UK, and what do most Indians do if they do not find a job? Well, look, until last year, most anybody could only stay from outside of the European Union, could only stay in the UK for 4 to 6 months. It was 4 months before, and then it got extended to 6 months. That, I would say, is not enough time to get a job. It is enough time to get a job, but it's not enough time to retain a job. So it might take you a couple of months to get the job, but then no company is going to want to employ you on a student visa with 3 months left on your permit. So it was increasingly difficult. Now it will be much easier because you have 2 years. So even if it takes you 2 months or 3 months to find a job, they know you're going to be with them for at least a year, if not more than that. So the chances are much, much higher than it was before that. But Sonia, what we do is we help you from our office based here in London. We help you get placements. So we'll help you, point you in the right direction, point you to the companies that have the visa sponsorship licenses, point you to the companies within your field, help you with editing your CV, help you with acting as your onshore referees. So part of the recruitment process in the UK is that you need to have references onshore. And we will act as your referee onshore. So it increases the chances of you getting a job by tenfold, if not, more than that, because it's a very important part of the recruitment process. Nobody recruits someone without, for post-graduation. For part-time, it's fine. But for post-graduation, no one's going to recruit anybody into a permanent skilled position without clearing references first. Okay, so there's a lot of scope for MS in the UK as well, an MSc as we would call it here. It depends on what field you're talking about. If you tell me what field you're talking about specifically, I'll tell you what the industries here are that are very employable, shall we say, or maybe not so employable. I can give you some advice if you want to tell me exactly what MS you're talking about. But yes, I think that the situation for Indians coming into the UK now at this stage is very, very different to what it has been for the last 5, 6, 7 years. So it is going to be very hopeful. There's going to be lots of opportunities. It's going to be very easy to stay. I mean, obviously you can stay back for 2 years now. So it makes employability, you as an employment prospect to any company, much, much more workable and much, much more attractive. So what about Germany? Same question as Sonia, but for Germany. Okay, a master's in science or engineering, again, if you clarify what field you're talking about exactly, I'll answer it. But yes, again, with Germany, Germany already has an 18-month stay back. It has been like that for many years. So there's many people being employed, many Indians being employed in engineering or science positions within Germany afterwards. There is a language barrier that you should be aware of. So as long as you are comfortable with the language, then you're okay. But yes, particularly in manufacturing, engineering, and scientific STEM-related programs, the employment afterwards in Germany is very good. I would say not so good for commerce because you really do need to have a very good command of the language. But yes, for science and engineering, STEM-related programs, employment options in Germany are very good. You do have an 18-month stay back, so that is enough time to get a job. Data science, for data science in Germany, again, that is within STEM. It is very good because a lot of their manufacturing industries require sort of data science and computer engineering, as well as other things. I would say maybe for data science, the UK perhaps might be a better option than Germany because you have a 2-year stay back and the language barrier isn't there. But yes, if you want to apply to public universities, which are very, very cheap in almost free in Germany, then that's different. But if you want to, if you do have a budget of maybe, let's say, all in all 20 lakh or thereabouts, then I would say the UK is a better option because the UK, that'll cover your tuition fees as well as your living expenses and your accommodation costs. Plus you have the 2 years instead of the 18 months. Plus, of course, the language won't be a barrier. But if you want to apply to public universities in Germany, then of course nothing competes to having, an 800 euro per year tuition fees, which is, next to nothing, isn't it? So I hope that answers your questions, guys. We have tried to make these much less interactive of late, just so that the many people that view them afterwards, it's applicable to them and it's more information that they can listen to as well as you can. But remember, once you download the app, and we'll say that that's almost in a way enrolling with Admissify because you download the app, you can ask questions. Then you can ask if you want to be invited to one of our closed webinars. Then ask the question. Ask when is your next closed webinar, and we will include you within that because we normally have about 80 to 90 students within our in our closed Zoom webinars, and those are highly much more interactive. So it's more Q&A based. There's a PPT. So I will spend about 20 minutes going through some topics that we want to go through, as well as then answering lots of questions. So that's better. We don't do that so much on Facebook Live anymore because, as I've explained. So yeah, I welcome you to join us on our Zoom webinars. You do need to download the app and ask the question as to whether you can be invited onto that, or you can come and message us on our Facebook group. Direct, you can DM by the messenger thing, or DM on Instagram as well. Either way, it will get to us, and we will arrange for you to be put into our webinars where you can ask specific questions to me or our Germany specialist or anybody if that's what you're interested in, or other people. But I take the majority of them, so yeah, if you want to ask specific questions, that will be the place to do it. Anyway, I hope it's been half an hour. I hope you guys have found this helpful. Thank you very much for everybody who joined. And we will see you next week. The topic will be released on our Facebook page. So if that topic is of use to you, then please do join. But thank you very much for joining. Hello, Rohit. Hello, everybody who's joined. Hello, Mohit. And we will speak to you or see you next week. Thank you.